Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lit Talk. I'm so excited for this evening's conversation. As you all seen my posting and just about what our conversation is about tonight. I'm so excited about it because I think it's such a befitting topic for just like where we are as far as in America in education and many of the conversations I know parents that I have are having of like how do we still during all these transitions with school keep our kids on track and what are some of the tips and tools that we can do to help our Black children in particular. And so Lit Talk is a series that I kind of had dormant for a little bit, but I'm excited to bring it back because it's really about conversations about literature, how it connects to the community, and what are some of the specific challenges that we face in our community, in our village, in particular the Black community. So I'm excited for our guest today, Miss Erin Hughley, who is going to share about herself very soon, just so you can learn her background. And we're just going to have a really informal conversation about Black Lit and how we can help our children to become just lovers of reading and improve their reading. As in all my other platforms, if you have questions, if there's anything you want to ask either myself or Erin, put it in the comments section and we will be sure to address it as we're doing our conversation. But again, this is an open forum and I'm excited that you have joined us. So we're going to start off with Erin. Yeah, Erin. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to kick it off with her just sharing about her work and just who she is, and then we'll dive into the conversation.
Hi, everyone. So, like she said, I'm Erin Hughley, and I am the co-founder of My Little Story Children's Book Publishing, as well as the co-founder of Storyteller Young Authors Academy. And pretty much what I do is all things literacy for children. Like my mission is to pretty much reignite their passion for reading and writing, because right now our Black children are struggling with this. So I'm just trying to find ways to make it more fun and keep them more engaged in literacy.
So what would I say? Before we get into our first question, what are some of because what city are you in, Erin?
Killeen, Texas.
In Killeen, Texas. So this is why I'm also excited about this, because this is a conversation that when we're diving into these topics, here in Chicago, I'm sure very similar to things that we're struggling with is similar there in Texas. And so we're going to just dive into our first questions, which is simply, why is it so important that our Black children understand literary skills? So I would love to hear what your feed is on that.
Well, literacy it sets the foundation for pretty much everything. Whether it's education, you have these tests, and every subject in school requires some form of literacy.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have your career, entrepreneurship, even all your different types of relationships. It requires some form of literacy and having comprehension skills, which is important with literacy, and just being able to, have a basic understanding of different concepts.
So what would you say, when we think about like literacy when it comes to Black children, like what I know here in Chicago is such a big thing. My organization, Births Into Books, is just all about reigniting that love of reading and reigniting understanding that literacy, like you said, is a part of everything. Reading is a part of everything. I'm by trade a science teacher, but reading and math and everything is encompassed in that. And so what would you say are some of like the things that we really need to have our kids understand when it comes to why it's important? Because I know that especially when we're dealing with older children, it could be like, okay, how do I get them engaged into this if they weren't from young, at a younger age, pulled in to what reading is. So why would you think, yes, it's the foundation of everything, but like, why is it so important, like for even their everyday today living?
Something as simple as being able to fill out a job application. You need to have literacy skills to do things like that. Even because, at 14, 15 years old, they're applying for jobs. And it's, if they are barely passing, reading in school and they, don't have the proper literacy skills and comprehension skills, that's something that would hurt them as far as getting a job. So yep. I feel or for example, the proficiency levels, like for example in Detroit, it was at 40. The reason I started this because I looked at the proficiency skills in Detroit and they were at like 44% not passing. So I'm like, well, what is going on that they're not able to do something as basic as reading? And the more I dug into it, I saw that they simply don't enjoy reading. So they're not going to put effort into reading.
Yeah, I
So just
agree.
getting them to get excited about it and understand that they need to know how to read and comprehend in order to accomplish things in life.
Yeah, and I think that so many times when people are talking about, okay, well, our children aren't into reading, or oh my gosh, like even what you just shared, like if you are working with teens, like this should be important because you want a job. This should be important because you want to be able to, excel in these other areas. I think that we also don't always take into account some of the barriers that are already set up for our children, right? And so, yes, there's a part that we play as parents of like, man, let's really get them engaged and, into this conversation. But there's also challenges and barriers that also are holding our kids back. I would love to hear, because I definitely could share some things that we struggle with here. What are some of the barriers you would say are and challenges that are associated with Black children being able to get those literacy skills?
Like I said, like number one, there is no passion for reading. So if they don't feel like, okay, like we're in school, we have to read this book, and if they're already not excited about it, they're not going to read the book. And then if they do read the book, they're not really comprehending what they're reading. So it's like, okay, they read this book and they're taking a test and they're not passing the test because they didn't want to read it in the first place. So pretty much the barrier is being able to connect, find a connection with getting them excited with it.
Yeah, and I think also with that, like the text, but then I think as you probably see, because I know that a little bit more in your work with publishing, it's just like, do they even see themselves in the books they're reading? You know what I mean? And so
Yes.
I think a lot of times when we're even trying to pick books for our kids in our book club, it's like, okay, at the end of the day, it may be the topic isn't interesting. And also, I don't see how I connect to this text, right? And so I think that that's
Right.
an added issue is that a lot of our publishing and our books don't represent our kids and they don't see themselves. Well, would you say that that's true?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, because I also noticed, like with my younger authors, when I'm showing them, or the ones who are in my workshops, I'm showing them books that were created by another 8-year old. They're 8 years old or 9 years old, and I'm like, another 8-year old wrote this book, and they're already, grabbing a book. Like, let me see, somebody my age wrote this book, and I instantly have their attention. So I think with them seeing like something that they can relate to, like, oh, one of my peers wrote a book like this, and they're going to want to read it, find out what it's about, and create their own.
I love it. And even with creating their own, knowing that their story matters, right? So maybe I don't see a book.
Right.
And I love this quote by Toni Morrison. Like, if there's not a book out there, that means you need to write. Like, write your story. Like, go out there and share what your story
Yeah.
is. So I think even that, even if there are barriers and challenges that they're having, along with just maybe even the schools that they're in, just allowing them to see that if there's a book or something that you're not interested in, there's an opportunity for you to create that book yourself. So can you share a little bit about how do you do that? So you have a publishing company?
Yes.
Can you share like
So
what
I
even?
actually, it's two.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead. I'm
share
sorry.
about it.
Go ahead.
No. I was just saying I would love
Okay.
you to share about that.
Okay. So there is actually two components to it. I have the Storyteller Young Authors Academy. And pretty much what I do with that is I take my students through the entire author experience. Like, we're sitting in class, we're brainstorming, we're writing the book, and then I'm showing them the steps to get the book published. And by the end of the class, they know every single step. They know everything that an adult author would go through. They
Oh,
know
wow.
the entire aspect of it. And then if they decide to publish a book, we allow them an opportunity to self-publish it, or they can publish it through My Little Story. And then we do like a community book signing. So they all participate and they get to
That's so
sell
cool.
their books and get their books signed. Sign their books and all of that. They have the entire author experience.
Oh my God. And so what made you want to create my little story as well?
Okay, because that was funny, because before it was just the academy, and then it
Okay.
was like, so we did the program, they completed the program, they published their book, and then it was like the end. So some of them, they didn't pursue it. They didn't pursue anything any further than when they published their book. So I'm like, well, oh, like, you had a really good story, and I wanted to see you go further with this. So Then I was like, well, if I do the publishing company, I can publish their book, and then, I can kind of push them to keep going with it, help them form their author brand and everything like that. So it was pretty much a way for me to stay connected with them and follow them on their journey.
That's so amazing to me. Like, is it difficult? Like, so now it's becoming a personal question. Is it difficult? Uh, is it difficult to start a publishing company? I just think that that's so amazing. Like, is that like, what's the process even for that?
Well, because I self-published before I started the company, so I knew like the ins and outs of it. So I was able to apply that, and then like I had to do some business training so I could know how to properly run the business. So it was just putting my self-publishing experience with some business experience together, and then making it work that way. And then I did a little research on how other publishing companies operate.
Wow, that is so awesome. I love it. For me, here for Chicago, so with Burst into Books, my dream is that we're able to have our writing program. We're able to, on top of having that writing program, like you, allow our kids to get it published. Because I think that it's just a rewarding feeling for them to see something come from an idea and become a book. And so I would love to be able to learn like how we could do that here.
Yeah.
Because I think the more and more kids that we have that are becoming authors, we can't help but get them to be interested in reading themselves, right? And so, yeah. So when we're thinking about the children and like the barriers that may come along with that, and those who are coming in, let me say this because we got more viewers. Thank you so much again for watching. We are here with Erin Hughley. She is here to just talk about not only the amazing work she's doing when it comes to literacy, but we're just having a conversation about our Black children and what we can do to get them pulled in. We've already discussed what are some of those barriers, maybe lack of representation in books. What are some of the barriers if they don't know, right? They won't be able to be self-sufficient when it comes to getting a job and all those different things. But now we're going to take it to parents, right? So we already kind of identified some things we can do for children. But I'm a parent, and I'm sure there's parents who are watching. And in some cases, like, look, I'm not a teacher. I'm not someone who was trained in this way. Like, what are some ways that I can, as a parent, help my child in helping improve their literacy skills?
Okay. So I'll tell you, like, with my experience with my son, he does not like to read. He loves to create the stories, but he doesn't like to read. So what I do with him is I'll sit down and we'll read a book together. We'll take turns reading the story, or I sit and have him read to me, and I hype him up like, oh, this story is so interesting. I stay engaged. I ask questions while he's reading, so that way he's paying attention because he wants to answer the questions while I'm listening to the story. And then we do little activities like storytelling activities where we'll sit and create a story together, and then we'll read it together when we're done. It's just like little things you can do with your child, like that makes it feel like you're a part of it with them, and you're not just forcing reading on them, just to make it a little more fun.
Yep. I think the key thing that you're saying that I have learned just even with my son is they may not necessarily gravitate to the book, but they want to do it with you. Right? They're going to feel encouraged if they know that I'm not doing this by myself, but also what I'm reading, my mom is interested, my dad is interested, right? And so I love that idea of like, hey, let's do some storytelling. You tell me what you read. Or like you said, just having those cliff notes. I think a lot of times, and we can as parents could look at like, oh, okay, reading is a break. And it can be a break. But I think that more like even when it comes to schoolwork, our kids are going to be more invested, and they're going to feel encouraged by it when they know that their parent cares, right? They're not just saying do this, but they're doing it actively with them. So I love that. I love that suggestion. What have been some of the things like, so you have how many children?
Just my
sorry, how many children do you have? Just one. How old?
Just one.
How old?
He's 8.
I'll say how old?
He's 8.
How old are they?
He's
8. Okay. So, okay, awesome. My son is 8 too. So, awesome. So, what have you done during this time during the pandemic to kind of help your son when it comes to reading? Or how has this time been during the pandemic?
Well, with him, I focus more on the writing aspect because I with him, I like the more I make him write, and then we read over the things he writes like that. Because if I just like have him sit down and be like, okay, read a book or whatever, he's not gonna stay focused. So I'm like, if okay, I have him write these stories, and then he'll go back and we'll keep reading them over and adding to it and things like that. So it's all about for me creating new stories as opposed to having him read other books already.
Got you. So let me ask this. So if all the things we've shared in regards to parenting and barriers that children may have, what would you say if you had the opportunity are like the top 3 takeaways that you would want to give? I'm gonna give you a chance to think about it. Those who are watching, we're gonna have a question and answer time as well. So if you have any questions for myself, any questions for Erin, go ahead and put them in the comments. We'll pull it up. But right now, I want you to, if you haven't grasped some of the like tools and gems she shared already, what are some of like the top 3 things that you would want parents to consider when it comes to literacy?
Pretty much. Number one, they need to not just stress, but show their child that reading is not boring, that it can be fun, and it's not always just pick up a book and read. Like you can make it so much more than what it is. You can turn it into an activity. You can role play a story or whatever. It doesn't just have to be sit down and read a book. Make it fun. And the second takeaway, find a way to connect your child to the stories, and find something that's relatable to them. Hobbies they have. Get books on based on the hobby they already have. Even like video games. My son, like, he has the video games with the captions and the story modes and things like that, and he's reading all of that while he's playing his game too. So it's like any bit of reading you can get them to do it. It's you don't have a limit on what type of reading they can do. It's just getting some words in front of them to read. And then the third takeaway, let me see. Well, literacy, it improves comprehension, and it's something that should be worked on not just at home but at school. So I think that at some point, like if you have a child who's struggling in school with literacy, then the parent and the teacher need to some kind of way, like find a connection, what they can do to working together to help bring their literacy proficiency up.
Awesome. So if you didn't grab that, as she said, it's really just about making this writing and reading and everything creative and fun, because I'm sure during this time, my son as well, like I said, is 8, and he, it could be a struggle, but like, okay, read your book. I want to play with my friends on the video games. I think just being able to have him to have that balance, like having that balance is so important. And that's just making it a part of our everyday schedule, not just a chore, not something that you have to do, but something that, yes, is important, but we're going to make it a part of our daily takeaway. I am so excited, Erin, just to learn more about your work. I'm so grateful that I was introduced to you. I'm very serious that I want to connect when it comes to learning about this publishing, because I really want to do that here in Chicago. And so I definitely want people to stay connected and learn more just about the work. So as you all are looking at the bottom, this is a website where you can go and learn more about just even she was sharing about her publishing company and the things she's doing down in Texas. What is it like? What is it like in Texas as far as the education climate? Like how is it with this whole? I want to have like a off-topic conversation a little bit. How are you feeling about going back to school in general?
You're breaking up a little bit. I didn't hear the last part.
I was saying, how do you feel about going back to school in the fall? Did you hear me, Erin?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I heard you. I got you that time.
Okay.
Well, my son is doing online school at least until the for the first couple of months, just to see how things go. But I think that as long as schools have an online option for the parents who are not able to have their kids, who don't want their kids to attend, then I think that's good. If parents if they need their child to attend school, then that's what it'll have to be.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Here we're still kind of in the planning phases of what that looks like. There is definitely a remote option, but parents just are kind of unsure of what to do next. And so I wanted to have this conversation just so parents can know that why is it so important for our kids when it comes to literacy. I think even when it comes to the school situation, if there's anything that you can have your child do that's consistent, is reading. Like, reading is going to help them in every single subject. And so I've, even with my own son, I'm highly considering homeschooling him this year. And I'm a teacher and all of that. And so that still is a scary thing to consider, because it's different being a homeschool teacher and being a classroom teacher, just because it's a different mindset. But at the end of the day, I know as a teacher, you can't go wrong if your child is a strong reader. All my students who are strong readers are able to grasp and understand things quickly. And so, if anything, parents, if you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do for my child? Read. Just allow them to read. If they're reading, they're not gonna get that fall off that many parents are scared of during the summer. And I know the fall seems a little scary for everyone, but reading is so important. So yes. So awesome. So if you see at the bottom, ways to stay connected, at your website, is all your social media and everything there as well?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Do you have anything that's coming up that you would like people to know, or anything to expect from your company to look out for?
Yes, we are actually hosting our first annual virtual book tour beginning August 1st to the 15th, and we'll be showcasing all of our authors. We have some various literacy resources and family resources that'll be available for parents to check out with their children. So we are super excited about that.
Oh wow! So what will be the time frame? Like, how are you going to do it virtually? I'm intrigued.
I'm losing you.
You lost me. No. I was saying, how is the virtual event set up? Like, how can we participate?
So it'll be on Facebook. You can actually like our ML Publishing Facebook page, and we'll have all details that we'll be posting periodically on that page.
Awesome. So before those who are watching, so that you can stay connected, we have the website at the bottom. But I'm also going to ask Erin, do you mind like going back and putting your Facebook information in the comments? And then that way people can be able to start following your page, and we can be a part of that virtual bookstore. I'm excited about that. Awesome. I don't like it's breaking up though, technology. But I just wanted to say, I know. I was just saying thank you, and please put the information in the comments so we can all participate. So we can be a part of the event.
I will do.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening. I hope that you were able to take some takeaways. I know for myself, one of the major things that I took away from this is that why is it so important? It's because at the end of the day, reading is a life skill. And so it's something that we need to make sure our children are engaging in. But why is it so important for our Black children? It's because it's already a lack of representation in books. And so I love what Erin is doing, allowing our kids to be able to publish their books and tell their stories. We need more opportunities for them to do that. While we're at home, parents, we can do that, as she gave a suggestion, while they're reading, allow them to do storytelling, allow them to kind of summarize what's going on, maybe have them write their own ending to the story. The more that we are active in our children reading, the more that they will be engaged in it as well. Yeah. And it's just so important. It's just a life skill. And so I'm excited that we're doing the work here in Chicago, and keep doing amazing work in Texas. I look forward to. Have you ever been to Chicago?
Yeah.
You've been to Chicago before?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. I was gonna say that you got to come out here when
Yes.
everything is
Couple of times. Yes.
You say you have been in Chicago, yeah?
I lost you again. I didn't hear you.
I say you said you have been in Chicago before.
Uh-uh. I'm losing you.
Can you hear me now? No. Yes. Babe.
Okay, you now. Yes.
Yeah. Now I was saying you said you have been in Chicago before.
You said, have I been in Chicago before?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Now I was just saying the next time we're able to fly and all that good stuff, you have to come out here and come visit Burst into Books, and I would love to come out to Texas as well to see your work.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for listening in. At the bottom, you see the information. Thank you so much, Erin, for your time. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I don't know what's happening at the end, but thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.